Welcome to Unfair Advantage, a series of interviews with some of the digital, social, and research industries' top leaders, thinkers, and technology experts. My name is Calvin Jonk, and I'm the MD of YOUKNOW Digital, a South African company dedicated to being the glue between global marketing technology providers and local African professionals. Here at YOUKNOW, we firmly believe that tech is only as good as the people behind them, and whether that be the founders, the developers, or the users and the professionals on the ground leveraging that tech to do incredible things for their organizations and leapfrogging their competitors. So these interviews are intended to dive deep into the experiences, the history, and the philosophies that make our guest leaders in their fields. So we're going to try and uncover what gives them that unfair advantage. And today we're fortunate to have Pieter Berner, the Chief Revenue Officer for Continuon, with us. One of the success stories of local African marketing tech being built and serviced here from South Africa. So Pieter, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Calvin, for having me. Appreciate it.
Cool, man. So maybe we'll start with what is Continuon all about? Maybe if you can give us some kind of a layman's explanation of the technology and what it is solving.
Yeah, sure. So Continuon is all about giving brands, organizations, be it, I don't know, like good, just people trying to do good stuff with their products or with some service that they are offering, to give them the ability to really understand who the audience are, what they like, what those interests are that they actually want to see, and how to best leverage that to provide a content experience and ultimately a client experience that actually resonates. There's also the ability to regain trust, for brands, to get them back into the space where people are actually trusting what brands are putting out there because it resonates with individuals, groups of individuals who actually wants to see specific pieces of content. And ultimately, if you are able to do that, and if you are able to help organizations to successfully achieve that being the ultimate goal, then we are winning. Brands are winning and the consumers are winning. So that is pretty much what we are trying to do.
Yeah, I think trust and authenticity is so vital these days. To me, somebody once mentioned to me that Web 3.0 is going to be about truth. So the fact that you guys are trying to solve that is really important. If you had to try and kind of pigeonhole what it is that you guys are building, thinking of the social and digital marketing kind of spectrum, where would you put yourself? Is it influencer marketing? Is it CRM? Is it, how would you explain it to the market, the average marketer in the streets, about where to think of you guys in that matrix?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to put us in a specific hole when it comes to the marketing space, because it's not really marketing software per se. But as I already said, like marketing as we know, and brands as a whole have lost that trust in the authenticity. We all know that. And the brands that are winning at the moment are those who are able to go back to the roots pretty much. They have connections with real people and humans. And, influencer marketing in itself will not go away. It's a big industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. We don't play in that space, even though some people might see it as, parallel to the space. And when we talk about CRM, it's also not really playing in the CRM space, but rather the social CRM space, where we've got a social first approach. And we are giving brands this ability to link their social sort of, insights that they can gain from their audience with CRM type of data fields. So it's bringing the two together, but not in the traditional sense of influencers. We want to see who the real people are, normal people with a following of 200, 300, 400, 1,000, 2,000, doesn't really matter, but those nano influencers who really has trust in their own little lives and their own audiences, because that is super powerful. When I talk about something and my friends, look at what I put online, they trust it. They know it coming from a good place. It's a trusted source, and they want to engage with that. And we found that it's lost in the marketing space. People are driving all of these sort of performance KPIs, wanting to look at reach and ABE and all that stuff, which has its own place, but it's not the only place. It's not the only spot that you need to try and be sweet on. You need to really try and nail that authenticity and trust spots. And that is when you start talking to real people.
Yeah. That's fascinating. I'm a big fan when it comes to tech. I love the origin story. To me, the origin story really dictates the trajectory and the direction that the company goes. And how did Continuon start? When did it start? How did it start? I know, Bradley Elliott quite well, the founder who couldn't join us today, having initially started that out of the Platinum Seed family, right? And
Yes.
maybe if you can talk to that, how did it come about, and why did it come about?
Well, initially, Brad and the team at Platinum Seed, they've been dealing with brands on multiple levels, and they've been doing very cool stuff, from a marketing perspective and from a audience engagement perspective, really driving cool campaigns. But they quickly understood that social media is this amazing platform that they are using to build awareness for brands. They're spending a lot of money, spending a lot of time and resources on those sort of channels, but is it actually translating back into sales, number one? And then even more importantly, is it adding value to the customers who's actually, trusting these brands? And the answer to that was that nobody really knew. It's not that easy to see whether or not it's coming back to some sort of a sale or a return on investment. And again, people would tend to use normal sort of figures like ABE and potential reach and all that type of stuff. So Brad then decided that, no, listen, there's a better way. There needs to be a better way to go about this. And that is when he decided to get cracking with Continuon. I know that it was incubated a little bit earlier than 2018, sort of the first sort of, iterations of it. And then Brad, he stripped it apart and he's like, no, let's do it over. And from 2018 onwards, there was another iteration with, all the Cambridge Analytica drama that happened. So I would say that the formal relaunch of Continuon was actually at the end of 2018, heading into 2019, and I was lucky to jump on board not too long ago. Stoked about that.
Yeah, I think there's a pre-Cambridge Analytica and a post-Cambridge Analytica world for with tech vendors working with social data.
100%.
It's good that the company was able to kind of move and shake with those changes. Your personal history, Pieter, how did you kind of get to where you are as Chief Revenue Officer of Continuon? What's the path that you went through? I know that you've worked at a couple of SaaS companies before, right?
Yes, yeah. So there's a whole history to before I got into the sort of tech space, and we can maybe touch on that later on if you wanted to. But what really got me into the SaaS space was my first time at SharpSpring, which is a US-based out of Gainesville, Florida, marketing automation software platform, where I managed a pretty large team of account managers and customer success agents to deal with about 2,000 odd clients spread across the globe, servicing them and trying to get them to use the platform in its best way. That was a learning curve of note. It was difficult, it was challenging, but it was exciting. And I think the sort of passion for it really actually started there. I realized, like, oh my gosh, I mean, software as a service is amazing, and we can actually change normal people's lives. In the case of SharpSpring, it was to give normal smaller brands and big brands, but normal smaller brands, the ability to compete with Oaks, who are using HubSpot and Marketo and Pardot from Salesforce, who's got big budget, but how should the small guy actually compete with them? And that is where SharpSpring sort of came into play. And I really enjoyed that. I'm always the guy for the underdog. I want to shout from the bottom up and say, come on, guys, let's do this. So that was SharpSpring. I had an amazing team there, about 16 people in total on my side. And we did some cool stuff. From there, I moved on to a very exciting company called Brand's Eye. And Brand's Eye pretty much focuses on also understanding what people are saying on social media. It's more social media listening tool, and then they sort of use the data in a way where they are incorporating AI with their crowdsourced platform to put deeper insights into it, to understand what are the topics driving customer experience, what are the topics that's actually causing people to complain about a specific thing or to praise a brand about a specific thing, giving them this ability to make changes as they go along, which is pretty rad. I headed up the success team there, customer success team, and also worked as an account director, where I looked and serviced after the financial clients, big financial banks, the retail banks in South Africa, and a couple of big insurance houses. Really enjoyed that. It was very good. It was super data driven, and at Brandseye, it was, for me, the kicker was that yes, data is amazing. Data is great, and we know that everybody sees data as its holy grail. But it is, how do you actually use that data to drive change and add value? And for me, it was a natural fit from there to move then on into where I'm now with Continuon. And Brad was, I feel very, very fortunate to be in this position where I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Continuon. We are a small team, but Brad saw something, and I see something in the business that I really am excited about. And it's this ability to see past all the noise and the rubbish that is out there, and focusing on those little nuggets of information that is sitting in the realm of social media and CRM data, bringing the two together and actually making a difference in people's lives, be it in terms of what they see from a content perspective when brands are trying to speak to them unsolicited, making it just better, because we can't take that away. And then to also, if it is educational stuff where people are wanting to see more about a specific thing that'll educate them in the realm of cancer or some other illness that they need, we can use this amazing technology to actually help people be better educated, help companies to better educate the people out there. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited about it. That's in a nutshell where I'm now.
So, and before, I mean, we've all got kind of pre-tech histories as well, right? So
yeah,
we've got these formative years of odd jobs and more permanent jobs, and I believe jobs that really build our spirit and our soul. And you've done diverse things from washing and selling bikes to personal training and running a gym, and I love that. And I've always found that to be so valuable. These are the ones that are guided by both passion and necessity, and they've got incredible impacts on how we treat the rest of our career. Personally, I feel like my bartending days in London and feeble attempts at acting were so instrumental in how I deal with staff and customers. So maybe could you talk to some of those experiences that you had that really you feel like maybe formed your career and your way of thinking about running business?
Yeah, sure thing. Just noted, we definitely need to loop back to your acting career earlier on. I'd like to explore that. Yeah, sure. So I feel very, very blessed to be able to. I grew up in a small town. I mean, let's be honest. I grew up in Claremont, super small town. Near Hermanus. Everybody just talks about Hermanus, and then where's Claremont? I just say it's close to Hermanus. Oh, okay, yeah, that's the spot. So my folks, they had a little retail outlets, and it was amazing for me to grow up, in essence, in that little space. It wasn't a big shop. It's a small shop. I didn't make a lot of money, but we made enough to survive. And that work ethic that my folks sort of instilled in me, I think it was instrumental in my success today. It's just that being able to know that you've got this small little enterprise that you're trying to drive in a small little town, which is seasonal. I quickly learned that you need to, even if you're 12 or 13 years old, it doesn't matter. You need to, when you engage with people, be real and just be kind, and really want to help them, get whatever they need. And in our case, it was a liquor outlet. So I was a little bit underage, I think, when I worked there, but let's keep that under the wraps. It was being able to, talk to customers. I don't have the experience of drinking a specific, a beer or a wine or whatever, but I still had the experience of dealing with other customers, getting client feedback, and then sort of passing that on to the next customer, using that customer feedback and re-engaging it into the next customers that comes in there. And I think that is where I sort of started getting this passion for, customer excellence and customer experience. It's just out of that little space there, talking about wine to specific clients, and then getting them come back to the shop in the next year in December, and bring their friends along. And that was such a lacquer experience. I must be honest, I miss those days. From there, I got a girlfriend, and then the whole thing. You sort of want to go out to a bigger town and all that stuff. And I sort of shifted myself, and I started working at Honda. It was still the Honda wing based in Heidelberg, there in Somerset West. And I had an amazing time there. I mean, the guys, Gavin Peterson, they brought me up in the washing bay. I started washing bikes for like 1,500 rand a month, washing bikes, working in the workshop, trying to understand what it is about these motorbikes that makes it tick. And I'm a bit of a petrolhead myself anyway, so I just enjoyed it. And from there I worked myself into that fancy, floor space where we are selling motorbikes to pretty cool customers. And I had a couple of interactions there with clients who just totally blew my mind away. It's real. It's weird sometimes how you meet people in strange places, and they just have a formative effect on who you are. Anyways, so from there I went into a bit of, I need to go back to the shop. My dad got sick and all that stuff, but all the drama aside, he's okay now. Whilst I was there, I started studying personal training, did my diploma in that, in exercise sciences, and then moved to Stellenbosch. And I ran a little boutique gym there, and I was also a personal trainer. Obviously engaging with quite a lot of, high net worth people, and just getting knowledge from them in terms of how they view the world and how they view education and work in general. Still underpinned by this sort of, foundation layer that my folks installed in me, which made it quite nice. I never had the opportunity to go and study, the formal degree. So, I think I was 26 when, still working as a trainer, I started using my free time to study through UNISA. And I started BCom and marketing management through UNISA as a formal degree. And whilst doing that, I met a gent with the name of Victor Probert, who was I think was the head of sales at that time at Cellfind. And he sort of took me under the wing, and he was my first mentor in the tech space. I mean, they play around in the mobile technology space. I didn't know anything about that space. It was so scary. But I mean, Victor mentored me and flew me up to Joburg, my first ever trip up to Joburg. And I met with the CEO. And just so you know, this is a company that's part of Blue Label Telecom. So, it's just not a small little business. I was spoiling myself. I was so nervous, but I mean, that was amazing. I mean, that's when I was studying. I got the job. I was studying full time, pretty much working my chops off, and I got my degree in what I think is like a record time. 4 years studying full time, pretty much, and working full time, being successful at what I do. And I mean, I was at Cellfind, I think, for 4 years or 4.5 odd years, and before I moved to Sharpspring. So that is pretty much the
You've mentioned to me before that customer experience is this driving force in your own personal strategy and in the company strategy, and that kind of comes through in what you've said your journey consisted of. Dealing with people in a liquor store, not necessarily understanding their experience, but understanding their needs. How do you bake that into the DNA of the company? How do you, personally go about baking a cultural element that you feel strongly about into the rest of the team, into the company's DNA?
That's a great question. For me, it's culture first. Everything else is second. I mean, besides revenue, you need revenue as well. But a good culture internally drives ultimately revenue for your business, longer tail down the line. So for me, it is all about, in a small company like ours, where we've got a few team members, it shouldn't be that difficult. And we are able to, and we are lucky enough to have a culture already that is very client-centric. And everybody wants to help clients succeed. So for me, it's when I engage with my team members, it is about the culture, what it is that we are doing that is making the lives either more difficult for customers or easier. and feeding that back to the product and dev team constantly. I think it's critical to do that, and to also bring them into the conversations when we do have conversations with clients and they are talking about a specific experience, when they look at the UX of the product and it might not be the nicest flow or whatever, actually bringing the guys in who's working with it. You can't always do that. I understand that it's not sustainable and scalable, but we can do that now. So let's do it. And for me, it's all about that attitude. If you can do it, just do it. And luckily, again, we've got team members who wants to do that, which is surreal, to be honest. And I was actually lucky enough with my previous experiences at Brandseye and at SharpSpring, where the dev guys and the product guys, they wanted to be part of that as well. They actually enjoy it. So yeah, it's about when I talk to my success teams, it's about talking about the experience, always what they give their clients. What is that experience? What did they do today that they feel made their clients happy, made the experience better for their customers, and that they think they should do better? Because a lot of times we do stuff and we think that was a good engagement with the clients, and then when you go and review the either the call or the email trail or whatever, you quickly realize that actually it wasn't all that great. And the customer, they 5 minutes back, they already asked a specific question, and I was baffling on about something else completely and never really got to their pain points. So it's all about listening more than what you're actually speaking. Stop speaking so much as I'm now and just listen.
That's why you're here, man. That's why you're here. So I mean, it's fascinating. You've got this experience. You've been working for a global SaaS company like SharpSpring. And I can only imagine that you learned a lot of the structures that they've built to essentially scale that company. I always feel like SaaS companies have got this recipe for success, and the way that the teams are structured and the growth plan seems to mirror each other in many ways. So when building and launching a new SaaS company, as you guys have done, what have you found to be some of those more difficult things that you've needed to overcome?
Sure. For very specific to Continuon, and I think it was also pretty specific to Brandseye in a way, is that the ability to give clients that you've got a super powerful tool, right? You've got a tool that can do a lot of things, and it's overwhelming. There's just too much, and you sort of give access to all of that to a client, and they don't necessarily know what the hell to do with it. So it's so important to have an onboarding process that really, really, helps clients to understand what the product is and what it can do, and to have them be able to quickly, engage with it and reach success with it. So I find it difficult for our specific solution to actually do that. It's not a solution that you can just give somebody and say, there you go, and give them a month or two worth of training and say, that's it, there you go, fly, little one. It's not easy. And what we quickly realized, and what Brad actually has realized, from previous experience before my time, was that being able to add service to the platform or to the tech was critical. So we are in the space now where we are adding that deep service layer to assist customers, with the actual platform, because they understand the value of the platform and what it can do and the benefit that it has. But everybody is pushed for resources, and very specifically, they're pushed for human resources. So who are they going to take? What is that opportunity cost? Who are they going to take off a specific project or specific task to go and do this Continuon thing? And we made the decision based on that sort of insight that we will do that. We are adding this layer. Yes, the product then does become a little bit more, expensive in a way, in the realm of if you talk about monthly subscriptions, it's not that, it's more of an enterprise sort of solution. But you don't need to really lift a finger. You can if you want to, and we can talk about that and all that stuff. But we needed to add that service layer, and this is what's driving success. The people love it. It really makes a difference. It makes their lives easier, and it really adds that value, that service value. And coming back to the model of a SaaS business, going global, that is not a sustainable solution long term. It's very difficult to scale that type of solution. But we are using it now as a learning curve to further develop the platform in a way that it becomes more easily self-service, so that it doesn't require a lot of time for anybody to really spend on it. But we do understand that if you spend a lot of time on it and you actually work with the platform, it does, the value that it adds back to the company is actually, you see it. So you need to spend some time on it. Yeah, building those structures, not easy, but I enjoy it. So I'm going to recap. It's all about the onboarding process, making sure you've locked down a proper onboarding process, constant engagement with the client or the client contact person, and then filtering down the line, making sure that, if I've dealt with the CMO might not be the person who's going to be engaging with me on a daily. It's probably going to be the community manager, or it's going to be the digital marketing manager. It might be the customer experience manager. So to understand who those people are, getting that sort of organizational view 100% sorted, getting yourself as a company and for my team to get a single point of truth per client. So I've got a whole set of docs that we fill in to make sure that this is the central point of truth per client, that if there's any questions, if a bus hits me, they know exactly what's happening in that client's world. And then from there, just servicing them, making sure that you put it in. I use Trello as a way to service clients, make sure that this is what I need to do, this is what they need to do, these are the objectives that we've got, and this is what we need to do to get there. To be very structured like that, and replicating that structure isn't that difficult. You just need the right team members to do that for. Yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, Galvin.
It does. I think you've touched on so many things that that we discuss internally on a daily basis. One of the trickiest bits, I think, for clients and for vendors and service providers as well, is the person who signs off the decision to move with a particular piece of tech is not necessarily the end user, and kind of bridging that gap for expectations is vital for both sides of the party. So that's fascinating. Thanks, Pieter. I appreciate that. Coming out of Cape Town, there is a vibrant tech hub. There always has been this history of innovation coming out of Cape Town. What advice would you give to some of the kids sitting in Cape Town, or anywhere for that matter, looking to start up some kind of a technology partner or technology company at the southernmost tip of Africa, and with global views? What golden nuggets should we leave them with?
Oh, there's so many things to say, but I'm going to just sound very cliched and say it's cliched because it's true. Just never give up. Never, ever give up. I mean, don't be silly. If you see something is not working, learn fast, fail fast, and carry on with your life, and don't sit on it. I failed quite a lot, like many times I failed. And it's about getting up, dusting yourself off, carrying on, get cracking, get up in the morning and crack on with life. It happens, it's difficult, but you just need to crack on. That is the first golden nugget. Secondly, just listen to people, listen to what your elders are telling you. Use that information and make informed decisions. Get an educated opinion on stuff. Don't just jump into something, blindly and expect everything to work. Sometimes it can work, but a lot of times you need to do quite a bit of due diligence. So listen, and then this is the customer experience professional in me that's just going to say this. Put your customers first, always. Your customers and your employees. Employees and customers are number one. Happy employees will give you happy customers. That is 100% the fact. And focus on that. If you make your focus the clients, the experience, the value that you give them, and in the same light, the experience and the value that you add to your employees later down the line, if you focus on that, the money will start rolling in, and you'll be able to easily scale a business internationally if you've got that sort of client first approach, employee first approach. So yeah, that's it, what I would say. And that doesn't matter if you're sitting in the southernmost tip of Africa, or if you're sitting in flipping guitar, Dubai, or in the States, in New York. It doesn't matter. It's everybody. We are all human. We're all the same. We're one race. Just listen to people and engage with them on a real level.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, man. What you were mentioning, one thing that stuck out from that last part is you were talking about listening to your elders, and I feel very strongly about coaches and mentors in your life, whether they are formal or informal. Did you have anybody that stood out as a mentor to you that helped guide you in your career?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mentioned him earlier on. It's Victor Probert. Yeah, he was instrumental in my formative years. I mean, you wouldn't think that you're still in your formative years when you're 24, 25, but you are. You're still. For me, anyways, I was definitely still in my formative years then, and he had a massive impact. Victor Probert, 100%. And then secondly, I would say Nick Ray, who's the CEO at Brandseye, also a phenomenal figure. Yeah, it's people that you know, they're real. They tell you the truth. They don't hide stuff. They say it. If you did something wrong, they'll tell you. If you did something right, they will also tell you. But yeah, it's important to find those few people that can actually help you. And now more recently, I must be honest, Bradley is a phenomenal. One of the reasons why I started at Continuon was more me buying into Bradley as opposed to buying into Continuon. I bought into Continuon anyways, but Bradley is that figure. Yeah.
Well, I'll probably be asking you for some intros to the former two, just to see if they can join us on this, because it'll be a really interesting chat to have with both of those guys, and Bradley, of course. I mean, we'll definitely come with Bradley. What to kind of link to the theme of what these interviews are about? Do you have or feel that you have some kind of unfair advantage, either yourself or the company, that helps with your success?
Yeah, I totally think so. I think we're sitting in a space where a lot of companies that like to see us as in the same space, but we are quite a bit different. But let's put ourselves in the same space. They'll be hamstrung by sort of legacy systems and stuff that they've built 5 years ago already, 10 years ago already, and they've got big staff components that is quite difficult to to scale in a way. It's we are lucky because we've got super agile. We've got a small team. I mean, I can literally tell Didi, our head developer, this is something that we need to consider putting on the roadmap. Normally, that would be a massive process for good reason. But in our world, it's like, yeah, it makes sense. Let's look at it makes sense. Let's do it and put it on the roadmap. And then not roadmap for 3 months down the line, it's roadmap and it's delivered next month. So we are very, very fast in terms of our turnaround time and our ability to service clients, because we are so intimate as a team. I mean, clients will talk to me directly. They don't need to talk to a support consultant. And I love support consultants. Don't take this wrong in any way, shape, or form. But sometimes you need to talk to a support consultant, then second line support, then third line and / product line support. And then only if it's been approved, it'll be put onto the agile board to go into development for further investigation. We don't do that. You talk to me and I say, yeah, that doesn't sound right. Let's get that done. I think that is the biggest unfair advantage that we've got. And then our people. Again, you can't really buy these people. They're just inherently good folk. The culture that we've got is, I didn't form the culture. I was very fortunate that the culture was there already, and I'm sort of shaping it a bit more. But we have a culture that is second to none. And when I say that, I come from a couple of companies with exceptional cultures, and this is by far the most exceptional. So super unfair advantage there.
That's fantastic. Pieter, we're all very excited to see what you guys do with Continuon and your continued growth. And I really appreciate your time. Can't wait to come down to Cape Town and have a beer, hopefully in December. You good? You happy?
Yeah, that's amazing. Thanks, Calvin. Appreciate it. Awesome.